I keep telling people in my community, we'll never be the same after this. Preserving due process is where I stand. If it's a beautiful, wonderful project, then don't keep it a secret. At the end of the day, you don't fight something because you know you're going to win. You fight it because it's worth fighting for.
Welcome to the 1334 podcast. Today, Lauren Dorminey joins me from the Citizens United of Mitchell County to discuss data centers.
The way that a data center would affect Albany or any community would first be, we are facing a next-gen AI data center expansion, specifically in the state of Georgia as of today. We're seeing various national news stories about Effingham County all the way to Early County. These data centers are hyperscale. That means that, for instance, the QTS data center that's recently been approved in Blakely, Georgia, that's going to take up the footprint of about 2 pentagons.
Good.
So there's a...
Is that on public land?
That is actually... sometimes it's on public, but we're seeing a lot of private land deals as of right now in the southern counties of the state. So the implications of these hyperscale data centers that we are seeing coming to the state is our main concern: water use, noise and light pollution, and then any ensuing pollution that would come from energy generation that we know is needed for these massive data centers.
Yeah.
We're seeing across the state, like up in Fayette County, there was a data center. It was actually in Covington, where they added additional gas turbines to provide more energy. What we're seeing is they are very energy hungry. You'll see the hyperscales be built, and then they will need more and more energy that the grid cannot provide. So what we're seeing in the bottom half of Georgia, which is very much rural, agricultural, we're seeing that before these hyperscale data centers are in operation, they're going to need vast amounts of energy that our grid at this time cannot support.
Do you know what the electricity demand is?
As of right now, Georgia Power, the state of Georgia has 85 active hyperscale data centers in various stages of applying for permits and acquiring land, etc. Of the 25 that have given some energy demand optics, we know as the state of Georgia today that we could not support even those 25, much less the 81.
Good Lord.
So there's a huge amount of energy. You can look at Texas right now. The proposed data centers were reaching gigawatt proportions that were larger than the United States energy consumption. So we're facing not just a data center, but also the encroachment of energy production, which would be transmission lines, as we're seeing with eminent domain in Coweta County. It demands a larger implication of infrastructure when we're looking at supporting the hyperscale data centers.
How is it different than building any other business?
The difference with the hyperscale data centers is the construction is very involved. It's industrial. It's heavy machinery, typically 24/7 construction working. You'll have groups bust to and from the construction site 24/7. So the construction of a hyperscale data center is going to be proportions we typically have not seen industrially built buildings in this area to that scale. In addition to that, once the construction is finished, we do know that data center jobs for the footprint that they're bringing, there's not a ton of jobs that these data centers will eventually bring.
Is it automated?
So we're finding out with even the energy generation facilities that a lot of it is automated. A lot of it is even remotely controlled. There's sensors, and all of it's digital, all of it's computerized. Even back when I worked at a brewery where we brewed beer, the brewers could control a lot of the brewing from their phones. They could monitor temperatures. They could know when to shut something off and finish the boil. So even back then, we've been seeing, manufacturing and certain jobs that are already being digitized back, 10 years ago. So this huge, massive power plant, for instance, that we know will be powering data centers, they're only about 16 jobs.
Wow.
So it is all more of a, watching it through sensors, more automation. We just know that kind of the way that technology is moving with data centers and AI, that there will be less jobs for humans, especially in the sector that's generating this.
Yeah, I think one of my first thoughts initially was, well, it'll be more jobs. And I was like, well, what about people building it? But you're saying they're being bussed in to actually, so it's larger
Yes.
corporations.
Mm-hmm. Typically, the construction's always out of town.
Interesting.
You'll see that, especially when NDAs are a large part of the deal. You're not wanting trade secrets to be known within the intimate community that is being built in.
Yeah, Concrete Enterprises isn't building it. Interesting.
I'm not sure if, I know that they're our trash folks, and they are involved with some of this development, but I'm not sure in terms of putting in the electrical and,
Yeah.
so.
So is it what kind of pollution are you looking at for like the wildlife? I know you mentioned noise pollution. I had somebody tell me today that they were looking at putting one next to the Atlanta Zoo, and it was going to end up ruining,
Yes. Infrasound is one of the big parts of noise pollution, and it's something that might not register in our auditory range, but it has effects on wildlife and humans. The effects of infrasound have been already seen in cattle, chicken houses, the way that it affects wildlife. You'll see less cows becoming pregnant, and you'll see a higher instance of stillborn. They've actually got studies of that from Texas right now. A lot of Texas ranchers are concerned about the stillborn calves. So not only do you have less pregnancies, but the ones that are successful sometimes can be stillborn. So infrasound can create a stressful nervous system. So there are studies about infrasound out there at this moment. It's a low hum that typically the corporations and the companies will tell you that it's about the decibel level of someone having a conversation in the same room as you. But the difference is that this is a mechanical 24/7
Never stopping
droning buzz, even a high-pitched buzz. It kind of runs the spectrum. So the effects of that on wildlife it's disorienting, it's stressful. We have a huge industry of hunting with quail, deer, wild turkey. So it runs the gamut from agricultural implications all the way to our wildlife. And one of our biggest industries in South Georgia is quail hunting.
Yeah.
White-tailed deer and wild turkey. So in terms of water and pollution, there's air, water, and soil pollution that could come from these large-scale industrial projects. Typically, when you're using water, you're going to either be using it in a closed-loop system, or where you're going to be retreating the water and using it over and over. The issue with that is it sounds good until you realize that what the water needs to be treated with. And then the concern with the water leaching into the aquifers or the municipal water supply.
Yeah.
Typically, coolants that are used in this water, in this closed loop system, the coolants are, while they are green because they don't create greenhouse gases, they are PFAS or forever chemicals, which are, they have bonds, chemical bonds that cannot be separated by nature.
Yeah.
So they will not go away. They will not degrade into their specific components. It will remain that bond, that synthetic bond, for forever. So the implications of PFAS, we know there's well-documented studies about carcinogenic actions of the PFAS, the fact that they do leach into the soil, the plants, and the wildlife. That's a concern whether it's closed loop or open loop. When you go into open loop, there are evaporation towers, cooling towers. These are going to be massive cooling towers that obstruct the view, and it will also be a massive amount of water use, whether it's from the municipality or from the aquifer in a unincorporated part of the county.
So they're treating it with a coolant because it's being heated through their system?
Mm-hmm. Right. So the purpose of the water is to cool it down, and then you have to run cool water to cool down the machinery, and then that then heats up the water. Then the water needs to be cooled back down to recirculate through and to continuously cool.
And the coolant chemical, the PFAS, that chemical, that molecular bond is essentially, it can't be broken down unless it's reached a certain temperature, right? It's like,
right. I mean,
in
they
a
don't
vacuum
go
at
anywhere.
like 1,000
right.
degrees Celsius or something crazy like that, isn't it?
Yes. It's pretty much in terms of nature. There's nothing that would.
And you can't filter it out or
Right.
anything.
Yes, and
Because it's too small to be filtered. Is that right?
yeah, it's a molecular bond, which once it begins to leach into the various parts of our land through water and air, specifically water, it will go through the soil. It will then grow through the plants. The deer will then eat the plants. That's kind of the cycle that we see the PFAS. And we have along the Flint River, we have the Merck property that is, you can't go there. It's a Superfund site. We don't really know what chemicals are there, but it's condemned. You can't go, and it's a stretch of the Flint River.
I didn't know that.
Yes. If you go down Radium Springs, if you go down Georgia 3, there's just this entire stretch with barbed wire fencing where Merck Chemicals operated, and now nobody can step foot in there.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And there was an additional flame retardant manufacturer on the river, and that's where PFAS basically comes from. Mm-hmm. So we see that we know that there's several projects in Daugherty County that reflect the seriousness of PFAS infiltration into our natural world.
How did you get involved in fighting data centers?
As of June the 29th, we in Mitchell County had a rezoning hearing that was the public was largely unaware of leading up to this. Typically, the public is given multiple notices via the newspaper, which is the legal organ, and zoning signs placed where you can see them on the property. We were unaware of this rezoning meeting, and up until the day of, we saw the article in the newspaper. We shared it amongst community members. It was for a rezoning of agricultural land, 300 acres, from agricultural to industrial. That raised some serious alarm bells. with folks living all around this 300-acre parcel. Because when you rezone land to industrial, you open it up for any type of manufacturing, anything that might, even a landfill, a shoe factory, or a power plant. And we, as concerned citizens, went to the rezoning hearing where the commissioners were to vote on the rezoning to industrial. And we, in that very short amount of time, researched and informed ourselves so that we could speak in opposition of it until we could learn more. Regardless, we had 50 people show up, speak in opposition. Probably 20 of us spoke in opposition, and the vote went through anyway. We were given a presentation by the power company that is looking to build a power plant on that property, and which their name is Next Era. They informed us that it would be a combined cycle gas turbine facility, power generating facility. The next day in the newspaper, we learned that the facility would be 1,500 megawatts. That means that at any given time, this power plant can instantaneously create 1,500 megawatts. So that means that if at 24/7 full capacity, this power plant could potentially create 36,000 megawatts in one day, which is massive. Nothing that any regular human could even pull to our a picture in our mind what a 1,500 megawatt facility means. So that's where all of this began. We realized that public input was largely avoided. We've learned in the coming weeks that through open records requests that our officials were actively insisting that this project did not spread to the community as early as March. Wow. We've shared that publicly. We're trying to get the folks aware that the very people that are paid by our own tax dollars to represent us have been emailing multiple other officials on the importance of it not spreading through the community as early as March. Had we been given the knowledge, we would have been able to go to the meetings leading up to this vote. We would have been able to preserve our due process as citizens by the Constitution. We would have been able to potentially have an attorney there to represent us in saying that this does not promote the public health, safety, or general welfare of the county.
Yeah.
We found meeting minutes from solar projects and other energy projects where the commissioners did move to deny that rezoning application. So we're seeing a difference in treatment across the county. By the same commissioners who voted to deny are now voting to approve, even against our
very interesting.
So am I anti-progress? No. Am I anti-computers? No. AI is fascinating. I think medical AI, I think educational AI, I think there's a lot of beautiful implications if the right folks control it.
Mm-hmm.
We see that with anything, just like the atom bomb. Yep. You know, it's beautiful science. It just depends on whose hands it falls into.
Absolutely. So,
all I simply stand for, all that Citizens United of Mitchell County stand for, Sowega Aquifer Alliance, all that we stand for is that the public deserves comment, the public deserves education and awareness, and we deserve an opportunity to preserve our rights to due process and make the choice if this is good for our communities.
And Mitchell County's not facing any blackouts to need a power plant, are you?
That's right. We've not experienced rolling blackouts or even brownouts. What we have experienced are significant natural disasters, from Hurricane Michael to the straight line winds, the multiple tornadoes, back in the early 2000s. We've had some significantly destructive weather events. And, placing these massive energy utility scale, whether it's solar or gas turbines or hyperscale data centers, I don't think that anything's been holistically weighed, from water use to disaster mitigation to pollution of our natural resources that drive a large part of our industries, agriculture, hunting, tourism. So
why would they put it there?
What we're seeing with the south half of Georgia right now is that there are tax incentives per county, tax incentives that are to invite industry into the county. These tax incentives in the recent years have been used to invite large energy companies into the state, to market our available land, our cheap available land, to invite industry that would bolster the economy. That's all fine and good until you invite large, very large corporations that have all the money in the world to come and put utility scale energy projects that do not create jobs, that do not do anything but take up a large amount of land. We don't have studies for 30 years after these solar panels have sat there for their lease. We have 2-year studies. In 2 years, there's a significantly high amount of cadmium in the earth. It's a heavy metal. Still within a healthy range, but in just 2 years, there's a significantly higher amount of the heavy metal cadmium. So we don't have studies that can really show the far-reaching effects of this, basically until the guinea pigs have lived through their lease. And then we'll know the implications, and that'll be after all is said and done.
Yeah. So, in theory, I mean, I want manufacturing to be back in the U.S.
I do too.
But data centers, power plants, that's not necessarily manufacturing.
Exactly.
I want my jeans made here.
I know. And organic cotton, it could be a beautiful, I felt that way during COVID. I felt like there might have been a turn to where we're like, okay, we have to start manufacturing back to address these supply chain issues. And it was an opportunity I felt for even us to invest in hemp that grows roads, that builds roads and that creates fibers and replaces plastic. I do believe that the United States is well aware that our imports need to be a little bit lower. From minerals to energy to technology, all of these different things. And while I understand that as a nation, we have all of these moving parts and it's in our interest to potentially source things here, I also believe that overstepping and overreach must be kept in check. We can't let this set a precedence for how other communities are saddled with various industrial projects. There has to be public input. We have to be able to put together ordinances and be in contact with local government. That's where it all begins. And so that's kind of where Citizens United, whether you're for or against data centers, we want there to be the right regulations, the right opportunity for public comment, and then conversations for solutions for other types of economic development as well that needs to go side by side with the data center implementation. If it must come, we have to bolster the economies that got us to this point: agriculture, tourism, natural resources.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot. I mean, I was just doing an interview with an organization that's fighting because their due process was gone in family court. And it seems like what's happening is there's a large overreach happening in Georgia. It seems,
Mm-hmm.
allegedly.
Yes.
It just seems like a lot of people end up fighting because they themselves have had their rights taken, and that's exactly why the Constitution exists.
That's right.
That's why our government is supposed to exist,
That's right.
to keep our rights,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as humans, as citizens.
That's right.
And I think there's, for this in particular, whether it be zoning, industrial zoning,
Mm-hmm.
data centers, servers, whatever it is, I think people just have maybe not an awareness problem, but an information problem.
Absolutely.
You know what's happening, you know what's existing, but I know for me personally, I mean, I worked in IT for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I understand servers.
Mm-hmm.
I understand how software works. I understand how, you know, off-site backups work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But just because a data center is coming, that doesn't mean it's an off-site backup. It may be AI. It may not be. It could be cloud storage.
Right.
You never actually know what it is
And that's
or
a great
why
point.
it's there.
That's a great point. And that's something that as citizens we can work on ordinances. The way that it works is you hear the word moratorium. That's just a pause on any discussion of data centers, any deals, any courting a business that's a data center coming to your town. It's a moratorium. We're not going to do anything for 6 months, 12 months, whatever. That's when you work up ordinances. That's when you as citizens can have an open line of communication with your elected officials. You work together and you look at other counties' ordinances. You see where there might be, you can say, we want medical and educational AI. We don't want data mining and robocalls and
Bitcoin.
bad stuff, nefarious things, like picture editors or all of this weird deep fake stuff that's out there. We want to be able to pick the types of companies that are invited in here, not just the highest bidder. Let's think about the future here. And I think that all of this is about getting the cart before the horse. We have to keep the horse ahead of the cart. We have to think about these decisions. We have to look at the studies. We have to say, nothing's going to, give it a year, give it 2 years. The bubble will pop. It's just like real estate. It's just like any large push for anything. Eventually, all of this speculative building is going to hit a rock bottom. There's going to be an end to this. So, what we have to do now as citizens is stay vigilant, make sure that you put the people that will reflect your wishes into these local government positions all the way up to the state and federal level. Know who you're voting for, know what they stand on, and be especially involved in your local government. Make sure that you have conversations. Make sure that you get on councils and committees and understand where your rights are in all of this. It's never a done deal. We have a say. The Constitution protects that, and that's why it exists, just like you said.
What question are people not asking but they should be?
Let's see. The question I have is, well, it's not what I have. Okay, what question should people be asking and they're not? I think the question people should be asking but are not asking is, how do we effectively provide strong guardrails for the community? How do we effectively provide strong guardrails for the community while also inviting growth and progress into our counties, some of which do need the money. They do need the economic development.
Yeah.
How do we effectively fight something while also not depriving ourselves at the end?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that leads into a bigger conversation of we have to research. We have to know the difference between closed loops and all of these different implications. We have to understand every part of this before we can create the right ordinances and guardrails. We have to go beyond the outrage. We have to go beyond the we don't want it here and say, look, you have to work with us. You have a lot of money. You're a very powerful corporation. We're already giving you tax incentives to come to this county.
Yeah.
You have to spend a little bit more time, money, research to make sure that my citizens, my constituents are protected.
That's so good. I think a lot of people forget that we do still have a say-so. And just like you were saying with be careful who you vote for, because our local elections are quite literally everything.
It affects you.
And there's a lot of economic incentive for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we end up forgetting that we still have a say-so, you know?
Yeah, we do. And you'll see a lot of folks, it's the done deal narrative. It's a done deal. And, you know, while, we're up against some pretty formidable powers that be in terms of energy and, you know, but if you preserve your right to due process, the beauty is just that it might be stalled, that you pick the right ordinances that might not even let this type of data center come to your county because you've now enacted a beautiful list of ordinances that protects the people living around it.
Yeah. There's a weird balance and dichotomy between both needing the economy to be better, but not wanting it to be harmful.
Right.
Because a lot of people see, there's just a lot, you see it with the lottery. People care more about money than they do, well, I could go get, you know, dinner, or I could buy a scratch off.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly.
You see stuff like that all the time, where I could do this, but instead I'll do this because there's potential gain.
Yeah, exactly.
And we spend so much time, I mean, if you buy a stock, you see the company, you see who runs it, you see what they do, why they do it. If you're going to be putting something in your community, it's the same thing. You should be checking, who are they? What do they do?
You're absolutely right.
You're not going to buy a stock blindly.
That's right.
I guess you could, but it's not the best decision.
No. And, you know, we did file pro se without legal counsel. We did file an appeal to the Superior Court judges over the rezoning decision due to, you know, we provided multiple exhibits of evidence showing that our due process was not preserved. That was actually filed. They actually wrote about it in the newspaper today. The clerk of courts told the newspaper about it. So we've just learned that all 3 Superior Court judges have recused themselves from the case. So now they're calling in an outside judge.
What the heck? What does that mean exactly?
It just means that all 3 judges said for some reason they probably politically charged type decision that would affect their standing with constituents. So they're having to pull out an outside judge.
So they weren't willing to look at it.
Right. Or dismiss it. They won't.
Interesting.
Right. So we're learning as we go. I think I'm on day 45 of this fight. And, you know, preserving due process is where I stand.
Yeah.
If it's a beautiful, wonderful project, then don't keep it a secret.
Yeah.
So that's it.
That's such a good way to put it, too.
Yeah.
You wouldn't keep, I mean, you don't hide your baby.
Exactly. Exactly. So
a huge thank you to Flint Heating and Cooling for their partnership with 1334 and this podcast. They do everything heating and cooling for air conditioners to commercial units, ice makers, everything. If you need help give them a call.
In what ways would this directly affect families in Mitchell County, Doherty County, Lee County?
The ways that these types projects can affect families, it goes anywhere from your property value to if you're on a well, the water usage, the water table changing due to the amount of water that's being used by these various projects. We're all on the same aquifer from basically this part of Georgia all the way across the Alabama border. So the water usage implications is not just a county by county or a municipality issue. This is going to be the same aquifers that farmers use to irrigate for a couple months out of the year if it's a dry year. We're looking at far-reaching implications on our water access, our water quality, land and property values once these large, not so pretty data centers go up in their communities. The property value does tank. Families don't want to move somewhere where they can see a data center or drive by one or drive through thousands of acres of solar and then a gas turbine facility and then get home. No. It's going to affect for families. We know that AI is already replacing paralegals. ChatGPT can pretty much, basically ChatGPT is the new bulldozer. The bulldozer took our manual labor and put it into machines. This new AI is taking our brain power and putting it into a machine. So the processing that a human used to do as a paralegal, that can be essentially completely skipped over now just with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing too is as this expansion starts, as these rural, simple communities, Doherty, Lee, Sumter, Mitchell, as they begin to shift more into this industrial direction, you're not going to have the same families wanting to say, oh, I want to raise my kids in farmland USA and go to the little charter school or the Mitchell County Elementary School, Lee County, etc. It's going to be an effect on your property value, your well-being, and eventually when jobs begin to plummet, when employment begins to rise because so many things are being taken by AI, we will be left to shoulder the tax revenue. It'll be up to us to provide the county with the tax revenue for them to continue to operate.
Yeah.
So you invite this thing in, this data center like QTS in Blakely. Yeah, they might give you a really nice recreational facility. They might give the school some good money to build a playground. They might invest in a new library. All of those are great. I'm not against that. But what value is that when our employment is dwindling? We're already facing a major unemployment issue this year. And we're not even seeing the effects of the next gen AI, what all it will begin to replace. You'll have one person doing what 5 people are doing because they're working with AI.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful in the way that we can learn and grow and evolve in our knowledge. But what is it doing for the everyday human? We don't know.
Yeah. I see a lot of people attempting to outsource creativity. Mm-hmm. And I think the creative aspect is the process.
Mm-hmm.
It's the wrestling with, do I use this word
mm-hmm.
or this word? It's the wrestling with, do I use this color or this color?
Yes.
You know? And I think when you start to outsource that, in what ways do we as people begin to not... the brain's like a muscle, like anything else.
Exactly.
And so if we use it less, in what ways are we just going to be addicted to algorithms more.
Exactly.
You know, there's a weird line there between, I think you can use it to become more educated,
For sure.
but there's also a lot of ways that you could use it to use your brain a lot less.
Absolutely.
It's a weird.
I just can't imagine going to college and ChatGPT existing.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like, the fact that college is likely all ChatGPT papers as of today.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue that. There's no telling what
Yep.
these, you know. And that's the one thing I learned in college was critical thinking, was being able to take multiple stories and studies and theories and to be able to critically think about how they were connected, or what needed to be addressed, or what wasn't fully considered in this theory or hypothesis or whatever.
Yeah.
And like you said, the process is part of what our brain, you know, the beauty of creativity, the genius of processing your own information and recognizing the patterns is such a fulfilling thing to do in your brain, and to be like, you know, I connected those things. But to type it into somewhere else and to just be given it, you know, we'll see. We'll be seeing very soon that I believe that the future, as much as I am concerned with what's going on now, I do hold hope for the future for the children who are growing up with this technology. I think that they're going to see like way further than we can even see. And they're living in this world where they're going to come of age and they're going to have things they want to see different.
Yeah.
They're going to have a vision of the world that used to be, and they're going to want to get that back as well.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that even AI, even people developing AI, I think that one day we'll see a shift where it will be for the betterment of the globe. It will be to protect the waters, to keep humans alive in whatever way. But I like to hold on to that vision because I don't think that anything's inherently evil, like hopeless. I think that there's always a Hail Mary that could always come. So,
I mean, it took us, 100 years to realize that pregnant women shouldn't drink and smoke.
Yeah, exactly. And we're still here.
And it took us maybe 30 to realize kids probably shouldn't have screens.
Right.
So we're getting better, for sure.
Exactly.
But at the same time, there's still a lot to know and a lot to learn.
Absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to less screens.
Yes.
Screens they're good and helpful, but at the same time, they are addicting. They are, they can be brain rotting.
Absolutely. Comparison. Just comparison.
Yeah, the social media comparison
Just
side.
the kids, like, you know, I can't imagine growing up with that. Just to not, you know, you're living in your own world, you're just living your life, but then you're like, oh my gosh, look at their house, look at their, you know, and it's like I could just see where, it opens up a world of all these potentials, but it also opens up this strange separate world where you can become so distracted or even disillusioned. And definitely kids aren't able to navigate that. Most adults aren't. So
Yeah. And I think there's a pretty big difference in sitting down to enjoy something that's long form versus the scroll.
totally.
And there's so few people actually reading books now, which is so interesting.
I know.
It's sad to know that. I don't think they're not going anywhere, but it's sad to know that there's so few. I think the average American reads between 0 and 5 books a year.
Yeah.
When there's, what do they spend? 3? What's the average American spend on their phone? 3, 4?
A day, like, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours.
good.
That's your sleep cycle.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, we talk about data centers and power plants and the industrialization, but at the same time, you have to have the conversation like AI is driving a lot of it. Mm-hmm. The AI revolution. What do you think? What does society look like in 2040? What's the average day look like?
Oh,
in your opinion?
I watched a interview with the godfather of AI. He's a British guy. Gosh, I can't think of his name right now, but he's 74, and he says, he's not going to be really here to see these things that come, but he says you don't know if it's 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, but employment's an issue. Employment's going to be an issue. It's already an issue. By the year 2040, what is that? 14 years? Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. I think we will definitely see a rise and a fall of this type of AI that's coming. I do think humans will begin to reject it. I think we'll want to go to a gas station and be rung up by a living cashier, not scan the barcode and stick the dollar in. And I think that there's going to be larger tech companies that realize the importance of even a employee-owned business. I think that model's going to start being more important.
Yeah.
I think there's going to start being people getting out in front of just the complete overreach that happens in the first 5-10 years. Then I think there's going to be, frameworks for preserving humanity, jobs, education, and things like that.
Yeah.
Because we know, the way that things work. It's a subculture, then it's pop culture, then it's regular, then it's cool again, and it's a cycle, like the way that humans work. So same with fashion trends. So
it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So I do think that ultimately the major value will be back into talking to the customer service representative, or that might just be a really good AI. You can't tell the difference.
I think you end up with a lot of people want authenticity. I think that's why so many young people are rejecting social media and their phones anyway.
It's already happening.
And it's happening already, where people they just want to know the truth, especially with so much AI, because it's like, I don't know if this picture's real.
That's right.
I don't know if this actually happened. I don't know if this video is real,
And the aesthetic of like Instagram used to be just so polished and beautiful and perfect. And now it's like, give me the girl with the like messed up hair. She just woke up. She's making her coffee. Like, you don't want to see that polished, perfect thing, because is that AI? I want to see real, So we already can see that trend. Like, I love that I just love young people, period, because they're sort of terrifying to the wrong people, It's like they call you out, and they don't like the bull crap, and they can kind of see beyond what we can see.
I see through it.
It's cool. And I fully believe and trust in this new generation of kids. I'm excited to see what they do. So
I think what's really important about what you're doing too is I think the only actual way to fight any of this and to protect the future is through like guardrails, like you're saying, is if we can make sure that the right rules are in place, the right legalities, like saying, okay, you can have a self-driving taxi, but you can't have a self-driving semi-truck. You know what I mean? Something like that, where it's like, we need to make sure that the right rules are in place, and the only place to start is right now.
That's right.
And I think this conversation has to be had between normal people like you and I.
Yep.
Like you're saying, the guy at the gas station and I. We need to have this conversation needs to be had in order for us to be aware
Yes.
and start the process.
Yes.
Because if it doesn't start with us, it's just going to start with people with money.
That's right.
And then it's just going to be, it's going to trickle down to where you have to do this.
Yes. And for whatever reason, all of us in our own personal lives have been met with a moment where we realize, okay, I've been asleep in this whole situation. Like for me, I've not been involved with local government. I've not been paying attention. Like I realized that, this has gotten to this point because I've not necessarily been involved. I've not been watching. I'm that surprised because of my unawareness. And so, going forward, I keep telling people in my community, we'll never be the same after this. We will be unrecognizable from who we were before this day.
Yeah.
And it's about educating yourself and knowing the ins and outs of these projects that are coming, typically with non-disclosure agreements signed. We have to be so prepared for this because once it's done, you can't really roll that back. But if you can come as a strong group of citizens and say, I've been sending you these emails. These are the ordinances we'd like to do. These are, go to the public meetings, put it out there. That's how you begin to build a record of your preserving your own due process. And that's where it's empowering. You learn as you go, and it's truly a wonderful thing to see ordinances that your community was involved in drafting. There's so many 10-year comprehensive plan committees you can get on to steer the way that the county is governed for the next 10 years. So what we're learning is we're getting involved, and that's how we're empowering our community, is just simply teaching them their rights of what they can do in local government and beyond.
Yeah.
So
that the humility of the self-awareness, saying, hey, I'm a part of the reason this is here, is huge.
Yeah.
And I think so few people are willing to do that.
I know.
It's, the reason I am this way is because of me. The reason I struggle with this is because of me. I think that's the hardest part with anything. And I think we end up where we, like, so for instance, do you know about the 7-0 thing?
7-0.
So there's a tablet and a drink. It's a synthetic version of kratom. Kratom's kind of like it's like a.
Yes, I've heard of this.
So
7-0, yes.
The 7-0 is, like, for example, if I myself had been in, like, local elections and paying attention, maybe I could have done something. I mean, I didn't know about 7-0 a few months ago, but maybe I could have done something. They propose it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe some of these people that are suffering, I could have actually done something.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they did it years ago with the seatbelt law. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if I was paying more attention, I could have done something. And
it's a mobilizing realization to have of.
It's a painful realization.
It is. It's painful. It's sobering. It's and it's also this word's thrown around so much, but it is radicalizing in a way of never again. Never again. Like, I should be able to trust you with my with decisions that would affect our quality of life, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I will never let that happen again. And it's sobering, but it's a wonderful conviction to have of, like, no turning back, and that's what I've been doing, going to these development authority meetings. I'm videoing them. I'm making sure everybody is fully aware of what's going on. And what I've noticed at the very beginning of it is it was so maybe just like inaccessible. It's like people viewed it like behind glass at the museum. It felt unaccessible. And they felt like, are we allowed to talk? Are we? And it's like, yeah, it's public comment. This is a public meeting.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of public anything, is that it's out there. The ego has to go. Mm-hmm. You have to say what you believe in at that moment. If something changes, you can just say, look, I messed up. I'm a human.
Yeah.
Like, I changed my mind. 2 years ago, I was saying one thing. Well, today I'm saying something different. A lot happens in 2 years.
Yeah.
It just give yourself the grace and give everybody else the grace, and know that humans don't check all the boxes. We're just humans, you know?
That's the beauty of community.
Yeah, exactly. Where we have some strengths, like we all have our own strengths. It's truly beautiful the way that this team has come together.
Yeah.
We put our heads together. We just have a small meeting, and then one person says, have you thought about this? Or I know this person, or I used to work in this. And it's like you all of a sudden have this multi-pronged like attack strategy on how to just go about tomorrow.
Yeah.
What are you going to take care of? Who are you going to call? Did you get this taken care of? And it's beautiful. That's community, you know? So.
And one saying I've been saying a lot, and I want to get a 1334 shirt made with it, is just unity over self.
Love that.
Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I could go take a nap. I could go watch TV, you know, but if I truly care about the unity of myself, my family, my close family, my friends that are like family, you know what I mean? It's like, well, I can go pick your kid up.
Yes.
Yeah, I can go, you know, whatever it is. Hey, let me make you dinner.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And your capacity grows each time you do it. It's like, absolutely. I
think everyone stretching their capacity is the only way that we grow as a community.
That's right. That comment of like, be the village, that was huge, because we all say it takes a village when you're going through a hard time or to raise a child. But when are you the village?
Yeah.
When are you showing up? You know, when are you that landing pad for a casserole, or taking a kid somewhere, or picking up a prescription, or whatever?
It's getting rid of that entitled mindset.
That's right. And this has been beautiful in that respect of, we all lived in our little houses out there in the country. We didn't know anything about each other. Some of us are related. Some of us have known each other since we were kids. And now the community's back. Now we're checking on each other. Somebody had a surgery. We're back to what it was when my grandparents lived out there, you know, and that's the beauty of this. That's at the end of the day, you don't fight something because you know you're going to win. You fight it because it's worth fighting for, and you get all of these beautiful gifts that you never expected along the way either. You know?
So true.
Yeah. So.
If somebody has any questions for you, or they want to get involved or help or learn about their own community, where should they go?
You can reach out to me on Facebook. Lauren Dorminey is my name. And you can also follow our Facebook page, Citizens United of Mitchell County. And I'll also give you my phone number, just because I'm an open book, 229-395-2383.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Thank you.